what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the electric guitar tutorial for Joy to the World by Lincoln Brewster. And this is not the first Joy to the World. I think that album from the first Christmas album that he released. This is from his second Christmas album, A Mostly Acoustic Christmas. So without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, I should mention that I'm playing this on my Line 6 Helix. I created a song-specific patch specifically for Joy to the World on my Helix, HX Stomp, HX Effects, and my Pod Go. So if you are interested in those, link in the description. So in this song, we're playing in D-flat, and I'm playing on my Strat. D-flat is the original key, and I'm going to be on the bridge pickup for the entirety of the song. So the tone is going to kind of sound like this. So that main kind of theme, that main theme lick of the song sounds like this. So that's going to be your first finger on the 6th fret and your ring finger on the 8th fret. And so you might notice that this is the scale, the pentatonic scale in D flat. So I strongly encourage you, if you don't know what the pentatonic scale is, to look that up. Also, we're going to be in D-flat major, so that kind of fits in within that box, a lot of these riffs. So that first lick sounds like this. So that's a hammer-on from the 6th to the 8th fret on the D string. And then that's 2 hits on the G string, 6th fret. So that's kind of the backbone of the whole thing. It's kind of like, it's got a little bit of a shuffle to it. So feel free to fit in the pocket a little bit rhythmically. And that's just bouncing back and forth between the 6th fret G string and the 8th fret D string. And then here's that slide that comes up. So that's a slide from the 8th to the 10th on the G string. And then that's a hammer-on from the 6th to the 8th fret. So that's kind of that first lick, and I'll play that slowly. Kind of does these like rake slides, and that's just. So then that second part goes like this. You're kind of repeating that same idea. And then that's a little like kind of bouncy lick there. So that's your B string, 6th and 7th fret. It's like a hammer-on pull-off deal. And then you're kind of going, just walking down the scale. And that's your 8th fret G string and 6th fret. And then that's your D string on the 8th fret. So that's what that sounds like. That's the same idea again. So I'm going to play that whole intro. So I'm going to jump to after the verse when we go back into that intro part. And I'm going to show you that lick there because it's kind of the same ideas, but then there's that one lick before going into that second verse, and it sounds like this. You might hear that in the track. So that's a hammer-on pull-off deal again, but I'm barring the D string and G string on the 6th fret. And then I'm hammering onto the 8th fret G string, then pulling off, and then landing on the 8th fret D string. And then you're pulling off again. Now you're hitting your ring finger on the 8th fret A string. And then you're going to slide down to the 6th fret A string, then end that note on the D flat note on the A string 4th fret. So I'm going to do it in context. Okay, so I'm going to show you the verse ideas, and I switched over to my verse snapshot. That main like guitar part sounds like this. Okay, so that's kind of the main idea, that rhythm part that's pretty much happening through the whole song, and they're called tenths. So a tenth, if you don't know what that is, it's the root note and the 10th note of the scale. So if you counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that first shape is the 2nd fret E string and the 3rd fret G string. And I'm using my fingers and only plucking those 2 notes. So that is taking that same shape, moving it up 2 frets. And then that's your minor 6. So I'm using my ring finger on the 6th fret E string and my pinky on the 6th fret G string. And then I'm sliding down to my 1st fret, and I'm still keeping that same shape. So that's going to be your ring finger on the 1st fret and your pinky on the G string 1st fret. So that's kind of the whole idea of it. So then at that second half of the verse, so I'm going to play that part just to give you context. How I'm playing that is I'm using my pinky and my ring finger on the 6th fret and barring the B string and the G string. And then I'm moving down with my first finger, middle finger, B string on the 4th fret, and then 5th fret G string, middle finger. And then I'm using my pinky to get that note there on the 7th fret D string. And then I'm picking it like that. And then I'm going back and barring this. Those 2 notes I did again, the 6th fret G string and B string. Then I'm playing that G chord right there. And I'm adding my middle finger on the 7th fret B string. And then I'm sliding up, G flat to A flat. All right, we're going to move on to the fun part of the song, the guitar solo. So I switched over to my guitar solo snapshot. Sounds like this. I'm going to show you that part right now. So that's going to be coming from that same box that we were in with the pentatonic major scale. And we're going to bust out of that and slide up to the 11th fret B string. I'm using my pinky, and I'm using my first finger to kind of mute the other string so I can rake into the strings. So it's a slide up and then a slide down. And then we're back into that major box there. So let's slide up to the 11th, back down to the 9th, then down to the 7th, and then down to the 6th, all on the B string. Do 2 hits for each of those notes. And then you're back to that same riff. And then he's going to hammer on. Hits that twice. And then he does a hammer on pull off. That's all in the D string. And then he ends that lick on that minor note on the 8th fret D string. And then he's going to slide up to that same note from down low. And then play that G string on the 6th fret. So he's going to slide up to that 15th fret there. So it's going to be a slide to the 8th fret, D string, 6th fret, G string, and then you're going to start your slide from the 8th fret, G string. And then you're going to end up somewhere around here to the 15th fret, G string. And then you're going to come back down. And then that end of that riff is G string, 6th fret, and 8th fret, G string, and then 8th fret, D string. And then ending that riff right on the 6th fret, G string. So that part is going to sound like this. Then he's going to hammer or hit these 2 notes on the D string. So then after he plays this note, he's going to slide up with the ring finger to the 18th fret, G string, and also have his first finger on the 14th fret, B string. So those are going to be unison notes. But then he's going to walk down on his G string. So he's going to maintain his first finger on that 14th fret, but do that walk down. So that's going to be 18 G string, 17 G string, 15 G string, down to the 13 G string. But then what I do is I switch my fingers here, so it makes more sense. So what I'm doing is I'm using my fingers for this part. Then you're going to end it on the B string, 11th fret. And then there's this descending line. It's going to be all hammer-ons. Okay, and that's just a pentatonic lick, so it helps to know the pentatonic scale in this situation. So it starts on the 6th fret, and then you hammer on to the 9th fret. And I like using my ring finger, because then I can bar these 2 notes for that 3rd note there. So you're going to hammer on. And then you're going to play that B string. You're going to pick that. And then you're going to go back to your 6th fret E string. You're going to pick that. And then you're going to bar this on the 6th fret, the E string and the B string. You're going to repeat that motion there. Ring finger on the B string, 9th fret. Okay. Then I use my middle finger on the 6th fret or 8th fret G string. Bar that G string on the 6th fret. So then he actually bars, so the pattern kind of disrupts there. So then it's a hammer on onto, he skips that G string. So you do that pattern here. B string, G string, and D string. Then you pick up and hammer on the 8th fret, D string. And then you bar that 8th fret A string. And then you play 6th fret D string, bar the A string as well. So I'm going to just play that part really slowly so you can get a feel for it. So that last lick is going to be a slide down to the 6th fret. And then you're going to end that final lick on the 4th fret A string. And now there's going to be an ascending lick, which is my favorite lick, I think, of the whole thing. So then what you're going to do is you're going to string skip. So what I use is I use my pick and I use my fingers. Okay, so that first lick goes like this. It's going to be on the 8th fret A string. And then you're going to play your first finger on the G string. So you're creating that little chord there. So you're going to play it, and they're all going to be separate notes. So it's going to be 8th fret, ring finger, 6th fret, first finger, 8th fret, ring finger on the D string, and then first finger on the B string, 6th fret. Now you're on your highest string, the E string, playing your first finger. And then you're going to do a pull off there on the G string from the 8th to the 6th. And then you're going to do, I use my pinky, and I do a pull off on to the 6th fret from the 9th fret. So then after you do your pull off here, you're going to string skip to the D string 8th fret. Then you're going to do middle finger on the 7th fret B string. Then you're going to string skip again back to the D string, and you're going to go down from the 8th to the 6th fret. So what I do is I do a shift with my hand, and I play the B string on the 6th fret. Then you go back to that. You kind of bounce between these two notes. So this is the D string, first finger, 6th fret, and B string. So I do a jump there to the 4th fret B string. And then I do, on the G string, you go 6th fret to the 5th fret. So I'm going to play that part really slow. I'm going to play up to speed now. So you want to add a little bit of a shuffle feel there. And that next lick sounds like this. Except he bends there. So then this is another one of those pentatonic. I want to show you that part. 8th fret, D string, 6th fret, G string, 8th fret, G string, and 6th fret, B string. Yeah, 6th fret, B string, and then 9th fret, B string. So then he does this chord right here, and then he arpeggiates that. So he does. So that little chord there is 8th fret G string and the 6th fret B and E string. He bars that. So then what he does, he alternates between the E string and the B string. And then he slides up to the 11th fret E string. And then he goes. Then he bars the 9th fret E string and B string. Then that final bend is 11th fret it's a whole step bend to the 13th fret E string. And it helps to kind of get the B string and E string kind of together to get those like tones to ring out. Okay, so I'm going to play that solo slowly so you can kind of get a feel for what it looks like. I can tell you the hardest part of that whole thing is that really fast descending line. So we're going to play something a little simpler after that. Bend. Sounds like this. And so you might recognize that idea from earlier in the song. Slide up from the 7th to the 9th. Back down to the 7th B string. D string, 6th fret. Then there's another descending line here. Slide up from the 7th to the 9th. Bar the B string on the 6th fret. 9th fret B string and 8th fret G string. Bar the 6th fret B string. And then 8th fret G string. And then slide with your first finger from the 6th fret D string to the 8th fret. So I'm going to play that up to speed. So then the band kind of drops, and then there's a cool... I'm sure he plays it a little bit differently every time, but I'm going to show you the general gist of that lick. So you're going to start on the 6th fret, and you're going to hammer onto the 8th fret D string. So you're going to do that. So that's just a little minor blues lick. So it's basically you're going to slide up 1 fret to the 9th fret on the G string. Then you're going to kind of bounce between that D string and G string. 8th fret G string, or B string, D string, 8th fret D string. Then you're going to end that little lick on the 6th fret G string. Then there's just like a little like flutter descending line there. You're going to slide down on the A string from the 8th fret to the 6th fret. And you're going to end on that D flat note on the A string on the 4th fret. So I'm going to play that somewhat in time. So I kind of add in that minor note on the low E string if you want to. So that kind of gets you out of that section. So then that like outro, there are a lot of licks in there. I'm going to basically kind of show you the general gist of those licks to the best of my ability. So that first lick, when everybody comes back in, is this. So that's actually going to be a bend, a whole step bend on the 16th fret B string. And so what you could do is you bend all the way to the note and then bring it down flat a little bit and then bring it back. So it's going to be a bend, 14th fret E string. And then it's going to be this kind of like hammer-on from the 14th to the 16th fret B string. Then he kind of responds to that idea. So that's going to be a bar on the 9th fret B string and E string. And that's going to be a hammer-on on the B string to the 11th fret. And then you're going to be finishing that off with that bar there. And then you're going to do, it's going to be this walk-up, this blues walk-up here. So it's going to be, that's on the G string, and you're still kind of barring these, the B string and the E string. So it's going to be a walk up, but while maintaining that bar there. So that's when I shift, and then I go down to the 9th fret G string. And you're going to do this kind of walk up here. So that's going to be the idea here where I showed you the, but instead of sliding, you're going to bend that. So it makes it a little bit more bluesy. So. G string, 9th fret. To the 6th fret B string. To that 9th fret B string. Back to that G string, 8th fret. So it's going to be. And then that last part is, I'm going to use my middle finger on the 7th fret and up to the 8th fret on the A string. Then my final note is going to be on the 6th fret G string. So I'm going to play that in context. So then after that, he's going to go. And I do that on the 11th fret G string. It's going to be just a whole step bend to this note. Kind of does some vibrato there. G string, 11th fret. And then he does this. If you don't see that shape there, it's just a, if you know your D chord down here, it's up here, and you know your worship chords. It's your A flat, but it's the D chord shape here. But you're going to be arpeggiating that. So you're going to start on the 5 note on the 11th fret E string. You're going to keep the shuffle feel, but you're going to pull off from the 11 to the 8. To the 9th fret B string, to this 8th fret G string. It's going to be a slide there. I'm going to show you that part. Then you're going to hit that B string on the 9th fret. Then you're going to slide down to the 5th fret G string. And so what I do is I bar this with my middle finger, the D string and the A string. Then you're going to slide up 2 frets to the A string, 8th fret. Then your last note is going to be that 6th fret B string. So I got a couple more licks for you, and then he does this octave thing after that. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with octaves, it's going to be this shape. So when you're on your B string and your E string, you have 2 frets in between, and you're skipping a string in between. Okay. First finger on the D string, 6th fret, and pinky on the 9th fret, B string. So it's going to slide up there. To keep that same shape, that same distance in between fingers, just move that whole shape up to the 11th fret B string. And so now what you do is slide up, and then I just skip strings there. So now I'm on the G string and the E string. Slide that up 2 frets. Slide that up another 2 frets. Then you're going to jump back down to where you started here. Go down a half step. And then now you're going to jump back down to that B string. And you're going to slide up and come back down. So I'm going to play that slowly. Okay, then here's the next lick. I think it kind of ends there. So that's that same pentatonic area. Starting on the D string, 8th fret. Just walking your way up. So that's just a kind of a bouncing on the strings, hammer on pull-offs. It's actually all pull-offs. So you're going to stop that ascending riff on the B string, 9th fret. I don't even have this part done note for note, but I'll just kind of show you the gist of it. So you're kind of walking your way up the D flat major scale. So you're going to try to get up to this part where we were barring that E string and B string. So you're going to play kind of slowly, starting at the 6th fret D string. Hammer on with your pinky to the 8th fret. So that's the kind of idea there. So G string. So I'm going to kind of walk my way up. And I think he kind of goes up here. That's what we're used to here. Slide up to the 11th fret E string. And then bar that. Then he bars that 11th fret E and B string. And he slides up to the 16th fret. E string. And I think he plays, and then he bends up to that minor note. So that 13 and 14th B string. Okay, bends up on the E string, 16th fret. And then I'm going to say the 17th fret, sorry, the 19th fret, bend up a whole step on the E string. Then you're going to 18th fret, E string. Then you're going to end that high lick up there on the 16th fret E string. So it's kind of that lower half of this part. But he starts on that tonic on the 6th fret G string. So it's that idea there. That's another lick you can throw in there. Start on the 9th fret B string. And then do that bend, but kind of do a whole step bend instead of minor. So then he kind of goes into the lick where he does. So he starts down here on the G string, 8th fret. Then he repeats it up an octave higher on the B string, starting at the 16th fret. Then he does this cool lick. So I'm going to do that to the best of my ability, but I know where he starts that lick. So he starts it with your pinky on the 13th fret E string. Pull off to the 9th fret. And that same idea down here. So you're going to do pull off, 9th fret, B string, 13th fret. I think he goes to that 3 note there. This note on the G string, 10th fret. So then he figures out how to get down to this area here. I'm going to show you kind of slowly how I play it. Then at some point you need to slide down to that comfortable position. And you want to just you want to end on either your 6th fret tonic on the G string or the 2, which is your 8th fret G string. It's kind of an Eric Johnson line if you think about it. So then he does here's another lick for you. So then he does this kind of iconic. So I'm going to play that slowly for you. It goes to that that minor 3 there. So it's a lot of hammer-ons and pull-offs there, and that bend there. So that's kind of the iconic Lincoln Brewster lick. He also does it in a lot of other songs. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. If you really like this video and you found this video helpful, feel free to please subscribe and click the notification bell and even like this video. And we'll see you in the next video.